Puerto Rican kid, bald head, loves snakes, loves Blizzy, Sergio Chacon.
Yeah. What up, Pa?
Peace. Welcome to the DBS podcast. It's your boy Sergio Chacon, aka Blizzy Chacon. That shit's whack. I mean, it's always gonna be Dirtbag Shit podcast. The DBS podcast. Peace and welcome to the DBS podcast. It's your boy Sergio Chacon, and this evening I am joined by author, producer, screenwriter, and the co-founder of NahNotOutsideMyHouse Productions, Mr. Charles Messina.
Hey, it's good to be here,
I'm a
Sergio.
mess out here. Dropping my phone.
That's all right.
Charles, how are you, brother?
I'm doing really good, man. It's good to see you.
You know what's funny? When I was thinking about the production company, it was all like in one word, and I was like, I know I'm gonna mess that up.
Yeah.
So I had to redo it, and we got it. It's gonna sound nice.
Well, nobody gets it right, so you got it as right as anybody ever could. So thank you.
Man, I was on the bus stressing it.
No.
How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, man. I'm here with you, and we're talking about creative things and good things and
For
about
sure.
our hometown. And we're
Yeah, I
hanging in.
love the fact that you're a native New Yorker. I don't have enough of that here on the podcast.
Yeah, where do we all go, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're an endangered species. We're like the polar bear.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no, absolutely. And we actually come from the same zip code, I think, or real
Right.
close. you know?
You're from Greenwich Village?
Yeah, Greenwich Village, Soho kid. So,
Yeah.
you know.
So, early 70s, you grew up there.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was born in the early 70s, and, you know, so my heyday was 70s into 80s, and, I mean, I guess we're both still in our heyday, right? So,
Yeah, I feel great. I don't know about
Yeah.
you, but you look great.
well, thank you. You look good, too. You look good, too. These chairs, we look good in these chairs, right?
Yeah, they were leather 6 hours ago, but we had to change it because we're just shuffling things around here at Sound Lounge. If you left it up to me, I would have milk crates.
That's a
Like
good
we're in
look.
front of the bodega.
That's a good look. I
Yeah,
would like-
playing
Park
dominoes.
Bench. Park bench, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that would be great.
But crates are very hard to find these days. I'm not sure if you know of these urban street challenges that
Yeah,
kids
I heard
are
of
doing.
them. I heard about it.
Yeah, so a
yeah.
crate right now might be worth a lot of money.
Yeah,
so
that's
we
true.
have them. We can
Stack
sell
them
them.
up. Stack them, you know?
The things that people do for entertainment.
I don't know. I guess people are bored.
Fuck.
I'm not climbing up any milk crates anytime soon.
Yeah, but you know what's funny? That seems like so bizarre and crazy, like walking up this pyramid of crates and possibly breaking our neck.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're city kids, right? You're telling me that when you were growing up in the 70s in the village, you didn't do some crazy shit like
climbing
that?
fences, climbing gates, doing all kinds of stupid stuff. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. I just, you know, we just didn't film it.
We just didn't film it,
Yeah,
right?
that's the
It's just
only
in the memory
yeah.
bank.
Yeah, it's better off in the memory, right?
Right.
It's better off in the memory.
Mhm.
It's crazy stuff.
How much of your most recent work is inspired by New York?
God, you know,
Because you have a
every-
collection of different things. You have
Yeah, I would say New York is my brand. If you know, I don't like to say things like that, but it is because you grow up here. It's in your bones. It's in everything that you do. It's in. I mean, I think I've said it's in your DNA. You can't get away from it. You might lose the accent a little bit. You might, you know, become a whatever. You're a writer. You're doing this. You're doing that. But so much of this city just lives in you that it never escapes, and it informs everything that I do. So the answer to your question is everything.
right.
Everything.
Do you feel I always get weirded out. I have a friend named Giannis. He's a comic, very smart dude.
Yeah.
Maybe you know him. His name is Giannis Pappas. He always says New York City is the best place on earth, and a lot of people say that. People who grow up here.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way? I think that's arrogant.
No, I don't feel that way.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell
I
you
feel
why.
like
I'm
that's
gonna tell you
super
why. I'm gonna tell you
arrogant.
why. It's not the best place on earth. It's the only place on
Oh.
earth. So I'll go one up on Giannis.
Yeah.
I don't know. Listen, there's a lot of beautiful cities. There's a lot of beautiful people throughout the world. And maybe it's a little sense of, you know, I don't know, it's a little proprietary to think New York's the best. But I just think it teaches you something that you really can't learn in other places. And in a way that you can't learn it in other places. You know, because
interesting.
I think it has something to do with being street smart, right? Because we're not just street and we're not just smart, but we're street smart. And I just feel like that's a very unique and special thing. And it's also a dying art because I don't walk around the streets of our city now and see a lot of people who appear to be street smart to me. So I think it was a product of when we were born, who we were born around, and then, you know, using that to stay away from the cautionary stuff, if you know what I mean, and to go toward the things that would make us storytellers and, you know, want to get involved in this business.
When's the last time you had to use your street smarts kicked in? That your street smarts with senses were tingling?
Yeah, I think it happens all the
Probably
time.
all day,
on
every
a
day.
block away from here. I mean, you know, walking here, you see it on every street corner. There's somebody who you're like, well, that guy's not right. And you see him from like 6 blocks away, you know? It's like, if you know. And then you see other people who just like walk right
What's
by
your
him.
means of defense for something like that? Do you cross the street?
My legs, because I cross the street, walk around, you know. Sometimes the city bikes pen you in so you can't quite get away from them. But, you know, I think alertness, I tell my son, just be alert, you know, just pay attention.
Yeah, when I was young and I saw a group of kids that looked like trouble, you know, I would pretend I'm tying my shoelaces.
That's not bad.
Yeah, just kind of duck.
Yeah, that's
Meanwhile,
not
I had
bad.
like Velcro strap
Yeah,
shoes.
Yeah. No, that's a good technique. That's good. I think, you know, as New Yorkers, we think like, well, frig you, I'm going to walk past you. You're not going to make me cross over in my city. But I told my, you know, once you have kids and you sort of say, well, avoidance is better. Because what am I going to do? Fight some crazy person on the street?
It's interesting that you say that because I remember at a young age going through that phase and like now I'm walking through this. And a lot of times it felt good.
Yeah.
To like prove
if you
to yourself.
got through.
Right. But there were a
always-
lot of times I went against my intuition
Of course.
and some crazy shit went down.
Yeah, because at the very least somebody calls you an asshole or something. And
What
you're
the
like,
hell
oh,
you
man.
looking
Yeah,
at?
what are you looking at? And I wasn't looking at anything, you know. But also I would say probably true where you grew up in your neighborhood and in my neighborhood, like we were provincial. Like we knew that, well, there's certain guys hanging out in that store. There's guys in that, like you said, bodega. There's guys on that street bench. If I just turn on Sullivan Street, there's going to be a couple of guys over there that I know I'm safe. And we don't really have that anymore. It's kind of like it's a wide open city, and you're kind of on your own a little more than you were when we were kids, I think.
It's so funny. I had an instance where I grew up in Baruch Projects, 3rd Street. So I shuffled around the Lower East Side, but I went by like Sullivan Street, and there was you know, it looked like a very nice area, and there was just kids in the park.
Yeah.
And that was their hood. And they made it very clear.
Right. That was our hood. Might have been us. Might have been me.
Might have been you.
Yeah, I know.
As a matter of fact, Charles, you look very familiar.
Yes, right. You know what's so funny? You know, it's like your assholes are your assholes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So they're good guys because you grew up with them. But you know, most of them ended up growing up to just be good guys actually. But when you're young, you're defending a turf. You know, this park bench is my park bench, and nobody can sit on this park bench. It's kind of silly when you think about it. But you know.
but
and
it was a
flag
thing
on the Thompson Park. You know, so it was kind of like now that would be not considered a cool thing to do because it, you know, for a lot of reasons. But back then it was, you know, it was a very Italian American neighborhood.
Why do you think it wouldn't be a cool thing to do to have the flag out?
I think it would be considered exclusionary. I think it would be considered uninviting to what is a much more diverse area, much more diverse city.
I don't know, man. I think they need to plant the flag. You know, Puerto Ricans are not taking their flags off their Hondas.
I didn't say I would take the flag down. I just, you know, because most of my plays take place at a time when the flag was up and when people were living a certain way in a certain space. Listen, not all of it was good because you do learn from diversity and from meeting new people. But I agree. I mean, you had it going with the Puerto Ricans on your side.
Yeah,
We had it with the Italians on our side. So, you know, I understand it. But it's just a different world now.
Right. There's some people, I see Puerto Rican flags in their windows.
Yeah.
And they need to redo it because the Puerto Rican flag, like the white part of it is yellow.
It's getting dirty.
It's getting dirty. I'm like, yo, you got to freshen
it's
it
probably
up.
from smoke.
Yeah, exactly.
Yellowing from smoke. Well, at least they're proud of where they come from. You can't.
Yeah. It's funny though because if I see a Puerto Rican flag, I can see it from afar. I just know that person is going to be looking out their window. You know, like they want people to see what's going on, right?
Yeah,
it's
of course. Yeah, the next thing will be a head popping through. Yeah, same thing in our neighborhood. All the old
blasting their
ladies
music. That's how I know I'm getting old when I complain
loud.
about loud music because I used to do the same shit.
I know, you stop being like, yeah, they should give that guy a ticket for that.
Yeah.
But they shouldn't have given us a ticket. No, it's a whole different world. And, you know, sometimes I think about these things culturally because I never think about just depicting Italian Americans, although I tend to. But if you think about Puerto Rican Americans, or you could drop the American, just say Puerto Rican New Yorkers, Italian New Yorkers, there's a lot more in common than you would think from afar.
Absolutely.
In fact, everything is in common, you know?
Absolutely.
Really, you know, culturally, it's very, very similar because you're a New Yorker first.
Right.
I think that's the way we see the world, and I think that's what's so unique about us. We see ourselves as New Yorkers first.
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. So you no longer live in Greenwich Village. You're still in New York, though,
right?
right?
I don't live in Greenwich Village. I moved a little further downtown. So, you know, from Tribeca to I almost said Flatiron because we're sitting in the Flatiron district,
right.
financial district.
I love the fact that you said financial district.
Yeah.
And my people, that's how you say. You don't go FIDI.
Yeah, the
that
abbreviations, yeah.
that irks me like no other. I can't move on from a conversation if some girl or guy says, "Yeah, I live in FIDI."
Well, it's
my
kind of
eye
revealing,
twitches.
right? Yeah, I know. It's revealing because it just means you're not a New Yorker. I think. Like we say Soho, but even that sounds a little weird. But that was at least
but
there
Soho's
when we
a
were
throwback
kids.
one,
It's a
right?
throwback. You can get away with that one. Like Greenwich Village is the village. I generally call it the village.
The Ville,
Yeah,
the village,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, Lower East Side is just Lower East Side.
Yeah, LES,
LES,
right?
Yeah. And always
But
was.
FIDI, I won't move on. If someone tells me they're from FIDI, I get stuck on that. And they could be talking about the most beautiful thing following
I don't
that.
use it. I don't use it, and I'm with you. Yeah.
Because you're a native New Yorker.
Yeah. So you just say the whole word. It's not that much of an imposition.
How do you like FIDI?
Well, it was much more crowded a year and a half ago than it is now. I like it. I mean, I'm in the Seaport area, so it's kind of nice. I mean, the water is nice. There's still a lot of good restaurants. There's good people. But, the city's changed. It's just changed. The complexity's changed. You just don't see the same people that you used to see. When I say the same people, I just mean the native New Yorkers, the people that you saw before. Too many of them have left for a lot of different reasons, not just COVID. But so I do like the area.
Sounds like you got a lot of peace and quiet. That's one thing
Quiet
that
at night.
COVID brought us was peace and quiet. I'm like,
Yeah.
I could get used to this.
Well, you don't have the tourists, right? So you don't have. I mean, whether you go financial district or you go to Midtown, you just don't have that density of people anymore. It's a
I
little
know,
more open.
and I'm a dirtbag because I appreciated that. I was like, I could get used to this.
Yeah, it's not
I have a
bad.
ground level apartment in the
Yeah.
Lower East Side, and all you hear is, "Hey, can I have a cigarette? Where are you going?" And
Yeah.
that was like eliminated.
Yeah, it's gone.
But now it's
Yeah.
slowly coming back. Though.
Yeah, well, I'm in theater, so I don't mind tourists, because they do drive some of the business.
Obviously, right?
But I'm with you. I mean, so I like Financial District. I like Greenwich Village better. I mean, ultimately, that's what I consider home.
Right.
Soho,
Right.
Greenwich Village area.
So theater, you're gonna have you're actually working on a play for and it's gonna be highlighting Dion, the Hall of Fame rock star.
Yeah.
I had to revisit that. I knew his song,
Sure.
The Wanderer.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I listened to it like 5 times yesterday.
Well, you talk about a New Yorker and you talk about a neighborhood. I mean, Dion grew up in the Bronx of the 1950s, which of course was a very different world, but it was still that insulated.
Was he
community.
Italian?
Oh yeah, Italian American. Yeah, very Italian. But influences from all kinds of.
Was he
music.
from Arthur Ave?
Well, Belmont.
Yeah.
Belmont Avenue, so Arthur Avenue, Belmont, that whole area. And that's a very distinct part of New York City, which is great, which I've gotten to know a little better since working on the show. And
there's still a nice Italian population there,
there's
right?
still some of them hanging in, You can still get a good Italian meal there and get some good pastries and bread. It's still there, which is nice to see. There's still those little enclaves throughout our city that are still authentic. I mean, that's the whole thing, right? We want to be authentic. We want to be our authentic selves as artists. We want to have a city that's authentic.
For sure.
And I think that's what you and I mean when we say it isn't the same. It's just those faces we used to see, that way it used to be. But yeah, The Wanderer is the name of the show, and we open up at the Paper Mill Playhouse in March. We got delayed. We were supposed to open up a year and a half as a pre-Broadway run, and now we'll open up in March, which is a good time of year, and we'll be at Paper Mill, which is our out of town, but it's not that far. It's only about 20 miles away from the city.
It's exciting, man. It's right around the corner.
It's real exciting. It's a big musical. It's got all those great songs. The Wanderer, Run Around Sue, Teenager.
The Wanderer
Love.
was probably his biggest hit.
Yeah, it was his coolest hit for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that was one thing about Dion. He liked to fuck because that song was about fucking.
Well,
Don't get it
it's about
twisted.
chicks, right? It's about chicks, quote unquote. Yeah. I mean, it's real, and what's so cool about the show is that ultimately it's about. I mean, with all that great music, and it's very Jersey Boys, and some people have said it's the next Jersey Boys. We'll knock on wood about that, but we think it'll be successful, and it's a real New York show, real homemade New York show. But it's ostensibly about a recovering addict, because Dion was a heroin addict throughout all that.
So how far are we going back? Does it go to the beginning of his career?
Yeah, it starts right at the dawn of his career, which was about 1957. So the piece takes place between 1957 and 1969, which were the seminal years, and also stops us just short of that next era. So it's basically, probably the biggest years of his career and the biggest years of his personal life, which is where he overcame his addiction to heroin. So it's a really, it's a strong piece dramatically, and it's great music, and we God, we expect it to be a hit. I mean, you know, can I say where people can buy tickets? Is
Yeah,
that cool?
please do.
Yeah, you can buy tickets at papermill.org if you're interested in seeing it. It's a really great, big musical, enjoyable, entertaining, and hopefully a little bit enlightening as it deals with addiction and overcoming addiction.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate
That's awesome. I'm gonna check that out. I can't wait to.
Oh, you got to come. You're gonna love it.
Yeah, that's gonna
you're
be
a New
awesome.
Yorker. You got to come.
Yeah,
Every
for
New
sure.
Yorker, every tri-state area person, we think it's gonna really.
Would it be dirtbag if you saw him in the front scalping tickets?
No, I think it'd be okay, but you got to kick some back. You know, come on. You know.
Yeah, I'll wear the mask with
Yeah.
a bucket hat. Like this
Yeah.
guy looks very familiar.
Yeah. I recognize him. No, I think any promotion's good promotion. So fill the seats.
You ever got in New York City buying scalp tickets? Did you ever get taken advantage of that way?
We
I
had
did.
a really good connection at the Garden that my father had, so he probably got him however he got him. But
they were legit tickets.
they were legit tickets. I
Yeah.
never got tossed out in the middle of the game. you know?
Yeah, no, I got this is an old school reference. They say when you got like they take advantage.
No,
right?
I love it. Yeah,
I was going to see Zab Judah fight, and I was in slacks and a button downs. I got 2 Zab Judah tickets. Bought them $100 each.
Yeah.
I was outside of the Garden all night long. They were fake.
Fake.
Kinko special.
Shit. But you know what? Now everything's on your phone, so it's like you just scan the QR code. So technology has made that other business obsolete. Scalpers, so funny. But changes, man.
I know these hustlers have to step up their.
You gotta step up your game.
You gotta step up their game.
They probably could. I'm sure they could do anything.
Yeah.
You know? Listen, we just want the seats filled. I don't care if somebody makes some side hustle on my show. That's fine with me.
So when does Broadway officially open?
Today.
It's today.
Yeah, September 14th. Today. Not every show. It'll be a staggered opening, but I think Wicked's back, and there's some others that are back. So yeah, that's great. It's good
Hell
energy.
yeah! I mean, it's so inspiring to get that. It really
it's life. It's
excites
life.
you. Yeah.
Like if you've walked down 42nd or across 42nd or down 9th, I did a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like at night, and I'm like, it's just like a bunch of kids hanging out skateboarding, and there's nothing wrong with that, but there's like no other life going on. It's like where is everybody?
Yeah.
I don't see them. They're not out there anymore.
Yeah, it seems like during COVID, a bunch of people with motorcycles
A lot of people
the streets.
A lot of people bought scramblers during
Yeah.
they had maybe some extra money. Maybe?
Yeah, from the stimulus. And
Exactly.
or either they got it with the stimulus check or the stimulus check came with a free bike.
It might have come with a free bike.
With no
yeah.
helmet. None
yeah.
of these kids are wearing helmets. It's very concerning. De Blasio, get on that.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. It's gotten a little noisy, but you know what? I'm way up, like on the 20th floor, so it's not so bad. You got to get up. You're on the ground floor.
I'm on the ground level.
I grew up on the ground floor. My apartment was.
I like the fact that I could walk my dog and just spill out into the street, but part of it wishes I was on the 20th floor to just oversee everything. Be gone.
Sit out on your balcony. Yeah. Do you have? Here's a New York question. May I?
Yeah, please.
Do you have bars on your window or no?
In the front.
In the front. Okay.
So if you guys want to rob me, just go in through the back. I do have a pit bull though. It would be a battle.
Yeah, no, they're not going to rob you. But okay. So bars on the window. Like I didn't have bars on the window when I was growing up, but then when I moved out, my mom stayed, and we put bars on our window.
Yeah. You got to have that peace of mind.
It's the ground floor.
It's the ground. Yeah.
No matter what, it's the ground floor.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to get the bars.
Yeah.
But there's something nice about seeing a place with no bars. And when you go a little further upstate, there's no bars.
Wow, there's no locks.
There's no locks.
There's no anything.
The doors are ajar.
Yeah.
We can never use that word in New York, ajar, because everything is tightly locked up.
Yeah, but you know this as well as I do. You're a city kid. You're up there up in the country somewhere. The daytime's great. Sun's out. You're hanging out. You barbecue, whatever you need to do. And then that nighttime comes, and you are more frightened sitting in the house by yourself with no one around than you are with a million people around. I really experienced that. I do.
So you think, so you think you're here for good. New York, you're going to die in New York.
Oh my God. I mean, I don't think I see myself leaving permanently. It's nice to get away. Listen, I always say it's the opposite, right? So the city kids want the country and the country kids want the city. Well, this is a city kid who loves the city. And unless we get another De Blasio or something just as bad, I think we're here.
I don't think anybody on either side likes De Blasio.
Yeah, it's not a controversial statement.
Not even like the left or the right. Just like this guy's a bozo.
Yeah, because sooner or later you just do things.
Is he even trying anymore?
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
It feels like, you know what his presence seems like?
Yeah.
If I have a bad set on stage and I got a lot of time to go, but I'm like 20 minutes in, and then maybe I'm just bombing, and then it's like, fuck it. Let me just sit this one out.
You just walk off?
No, just sit on the stool and look at my watch.
Yeah. I mean,
hit the mic on my hip,
right. You take a knee, man. Take a knee. I don't know. I don't know. I just think, we're not gonna let crime chase us out. We've obviously not let money chase us out. So I guess nothing's gonna chase us out. It's also a really inspiring place. That's the problem. For as long as we're creating, I mean, where are you going to get inspired like this? I don't see. It's lovely to be up in the country. It's nice to get a little peace and a little change of scenery, sit by a lake or beach. Everybody loves that. But for an artist to be inspired by the noise,
you need the interaction with people. You need the life.
I think you do. I mean, and I don't really know any different because I grew up in a very small apartment with people coming and going, and I learned that the most exciting.
What was your house, a drug house?
No, it was not a drug house. It was just a ground floor apartment that was never locked.
Right.
And my cousins walking in and everybody just coming in and coming and going. It's like, I think they would call it a flop house, not a crack house.
And it's a flop house, not a trap house. Don't get it twisted.
Not a trap house, not a crack house, just a flop house. But it was great because you had all those different people all the time, and they were characters. And I always say,
if you move upstate, no one's going to your house.
No, you're going to shoot them as they're coming up the driveway. No, and I always say
it's also a pain in the ass to visit people. You're gonna come up to my house upstate.
They want you to come, don't they?
It's like you're thinking about it. You look at the GPS. You leave at 10 o'clock.
But then you got to get through the Holland Tunnel or get over the bridge.
It's a 3-hour, freaking travel.
No, it's too much work. It's easier just to not do it.
I have my brother-in-law lives in Connecticut. It's like three and a half hours. That's a long time. That's like a Joe Rogan experience.
Yeah. It's a lot. And then, you don't want to...
Plus a half episode of Golden Girls.
Right. And then do you want to sleep over? And if you don't sleep over, you're going to have to drive back 3.5 hours. And it's like, then I don't want to sleep in anybody's house. So it's like, no, city kids have weird stuff moving through our veins. We just do, But I just say, like, when we were kids, right, if you want to see your friends, you didn't go on Facebook. You just went out in the street.
Right.
There was something tactile and real about that. I think we've lost some of that. I do, and I don't want to be the old guy sitting around.
But
you know what I mean.
But it absolutely is the reality of it.
Yeah, and we've lost personality with it. Like, I just feel like people were much more interesting characters in the past. They just were.
For sure, I can talk
right?
on my block alone. I lived on 3rd Street between A and B.
The best.
And prior to that, I lived in the project. So it's predominantly blacks and Latinos, a lot of hardworking people. But it was very specific and consistent with the disposition and the background of in the project. But when I moved to 3rd Street, it was such a unique mix.
Yeah,
we had a guy who used to they used to call him Psycho Mike. I never participated in the name calling. I swear to God. Okay,
that was his name legally.
His name was Psycho Mike. He was supposedly a friend with the Kennedys, right? Okay. Or his parents were the Kennedys. Right. But he was batshit crazy. He used to wear Pampers and play the bagpipes up and down.
Right. And what do you have, a rent-controlled apartment?
He had a storefront.
Yeah. It's like he was a living, right?
Yeah, and then on the storefront he wrote "In God We Trust," and then he would. I'm sorry, guys. He would put like shit and then put a feather in it.
That was his artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
just the way of expressing himself.
Yeah, I think that's something. It's something. You take him now. You wish he was back, right? All the crazies. Yeah. That whole.
But when he was on his medication, he was very informative. He was articulate. Yeah. But he was off his meds. He was Psycho Mike with the bagpipes and the pamper.
I know. And now they probably stick him in a shelter, or he would just be sitting on the corner.
I think he's dead. I hate to break it to you, Charles. Or that might be the next musical.
Yeah, we got to make a little. We got to do something with Psycho Mike. We'll use the name. That was great when we were kids too, right? The nicknames. Think of the nicknames.
Some of them were super inappropriate.
Oh yeah. But they were great and they stuck.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even know somebody's last name or anything. You just knew them as that nickname. I don't want to out anybody, so I'm not going to say any nicknames. But but it was great.
There was another guy. He was a gay man, large man, and supposedly the story was that he was kicked out of his family was involved in organized crime. Got it. But because he was gay, they gave him some money, and the kids, not me, the kids called him in a derogatory way. He was gay, Eddie. Right? So they,
I got it.
Yeah, you get it, right?
Yeah, I got it.
I want to spell it out, but you guys get it.
Yeah.
And it was very harsh to listen to that. I'm like, damn, don't call him that.
I know.
But he was funny.
Yeah.
And he was a weed peddler.
Yeah.
And he would throw front kicks.
Oh my.
Yeah, like if you called him that name, he was like, come here. And then he would throw a front kick. And he was like always perfectly manicured, gelled up hair, buttoned down, and he smelled good. Right. And he had like the best weed on the block.
Yeah. It's interesting, right? Like we think that people think that we lived in like a world of intolerance, but I was saying this to you even off camera that we were everything was happening at once. So we weren't feeling that way, you know? Like, you know what I mean? Like we were in a predominantly Italian-American neighborhood, but so my best friend in the world was Colombian, you know? And we didn't even think twice about it, you know?
Right.
We had, I don't want to call them, at the time we called them transsexuals, living in my building because they were working, you know, at one of the clubs down the street, and they were like friends with my parents, you know? I'm not suggesting the world was a better place because it was a complicated place, and it still is, but I don't think it was a bad place. And I think there was more tolerance than you really think because we weren't being told to be tolerant. We were just experiencing people in real time and accepting them. That was my experience. I don't know about yours, but yeah.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I was just like, in the neighborhood, there was all different types of people, and there was no time to be told how to behave around them, or like you just lived by them, and that was it.
Of course, and if you went a block away from your house, you had the Hells Angels. Am I right? You know, and then if you went 3 blocks more,
the Hells Angels did not fuck around.
No, and that place was there for years. I don't know if it's still there. I haven't been.
They shut down last year.
Okay, all right.
They moved out.
Another COVID closure. The Hells Angels.
The Hells Angels.
Yeah. That place was there forever. And let me tell you something. You know, because you lived there, and I wasn't far from it. You could walk by there. You never felt anything.
No.
Or maybe you had a bad experience. I didn't.
No, I never felt. I kind of. That was a heavy sigh. Right?
Okay.
Not me.
Yeah.
But, a couple of my friends playing loud music.
All right. Well,
shut that shit off.
Okay.
They had that doorway.
Yeah.
And they had a painting of a Hell's Angel, right? And the Pico was the glass eye.
Yeah, sure. I remember that place very well. You know,
You couldn't park your vehicle there.
No, it was all bikes. Yeah,
it was all bikes.
Yeah, it was. But you know what? It was flavor. It was something that, you know, we used to like to say in the Italians, it was in the sauce, you know, it was in the gravy. You knew it was authentic. It wasn't out of a jar, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's what we lament about our past, that we don't have anymore. Well, we kind of have it because we're talking about it, but it just doesn't exist in the same way.
Yeah, no, I miss the Hells Angels.
I miss the Hells Angels, yeah.
Even though at the time, like, their loud bikes would annoy me, but it was part of New York, right? It was part. So now, not seeing them there, they've been there my entire life.
What is it now?
I have no idea.
Okay, I have to walk by it and check it out. It's been a long time.
It's just a skeleton of what it was. Yeah. It's just an abandoned.
Yeah.
And what are we gonna get there? A Starbucks maybe?
Well, or you'll get nothing. I mean, that's one of the sad things about walking around the neighborhood now, walking around the whole city, is like graffiti, empty stores. Where it's like, really, this is what we're gonna be? Like, open a store. You know, make some incentives to open a store, even if it ends up being Psycho Mike's artwork.
Right.
You know, at least it was a storefront. You know, that's one of the things we have to get back. Is there's too many empty storefronts now. It's kind of disheartening to see that.
I know. You're familiar with Odessa's on 7th Street, and right across the street from Tompkins Square Park?
Yeah, sure.
That closed down.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That's
I miss finding hair in my eggs.
Yeah, it's true. But, you know, they're forever.
Right.
Yeah, no.
They were 24 hours.
Yeah, I mean, there's, you know, where do you get Chinese food now? That's one of the things that I'm having a hard time with. Sammy's over on 10th Street. I used to go there all the time. Loved it, you know.
10th Street and where?
Sammy's was on 10th and 6th.
I love that place. That place closed?
Closed. It was
oh, my God. That was one of the best.
Really good, right? Noodle shop is so
When you
good.
talk about Chinese restaurants, Sammy's was top.
Sammy was great. Sammy was great. It was classic, you know?
That's like top, like Suprema on 38th Street and 9th Avenue, I believe, the pizza shop. That's a real good pizza
Suprema,
shop.
I know very well, yeah.
Yeah,
sure,
that's
sure.
like top, like that.
Yeah, it was there a long, long time.
Suprema's still there, right?
I believe so. I haven't been up there in a while, but yeah.
That's it. That's a weird area.
Yeah, you know what I see?
But I like it.
But you know what?
Because it's always been a little grimy.
It's grimy.
What area is that? That's
what do you want to call that? It's not. It's
Hell's
just
Kitchen.
North of Chelsea, just south of Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
It's Hell's Kitchen,
I call it the Black Forest.
Because it's above 34th, so I guess it's technically Hell's Kitchen. But yeah, it's a lot of homeless. It's a lot of.
It's always been a little grimy, but it's been consistently grimy.
It's
the worst
grimy.
McDonald's was.
Well, you know, yes, but you know,
because
all of the rehearsal spaces are up in that area. So you know, you have to walk by all those wonderful folks when you go into. But like, you always got a sense that they kind of stuck to themselves. But like, you'd see like a couple of drug addicts fighting with each other. And you just got to scoot around that, you know. But we know how to do that. That's not a big deal. Yeah, no, Chinese food has become a casualty too. I mean, other than like maybe some little takeout places, but like Sammy's closed. Susie's closed on Bleecker.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not. We're talking about like good Chinese establishments, not the the ones on the corner, like May Kitchen and
takeouts,
stuff.
yeah.
Those takeout
Man,
ones.
no, that's different.
They were ahead of their times though. They had the COVID plastic glass.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure.
with bullet holes stuck in there.
Yeah.
With bullets stuck in there.
They
for
survived
years.
COVID, but some of the bigger places didn't. You know, that's the problem. Like
it's
Sammy's was a
wild.
big place, so I think physically, it
Yes,
just maybe the
it
rent was
was.
too much, or I don't know. I would think Chinese food would do well because it was takeout, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's a shame. Chinese food's a shame, and we, Italians have a special place in their heart for Chinese food.
Yeah,
That's true for Puerto Ricans too. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Everyone loves Chinese food.
Yeah, everyone loves Chinese food. Yeah, but it's a New York thing.
That's
It's
what
New
it
York
is.
Chinese food. You know?
I'm upset that you told me that about sandwich. We gotta stop this episode short. We can't do it. I can't move on.
No more. I haven't had Chinese food in 2 years.
Oh man.
Yeah, but they opened a P.F. Chang's down in the financial district, and I'm not like promoting anything. I'm just saying they did open a P.F. Chang's.
We'll come to find out that the Wanderer, the play,
it's sponsored by P.F. Chang's. I wish it was. It would make my life as producer a lot easier because none hasn't gotten.
So as a producer, do you ever take on a role for the play?
Oh my God!
Have you ever done that?
I'm smart enough to know that I'm not talented enough to ever step
So
on
you're
a
behind
stage.
the scenes strictly.
No, these people are so talented, Sergio. I mean, they
Is it
sing,
ever
they
tempting
dance.
to want to do that?
No, it's fun to read through what I write. So I enjoy doing that with one of my actors, or enjoy doing that. But man, it's so scary to get up in front of 1,200 people. That takes a special kind of crazy, even beyond your kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Well, because you're a performer, so you get on
Yeah.
stage.
So that begs the question. I wonder if stand up is. I mean, it's being in a play like that. I mean, you got to bring the same energy with the same lines night after night in life. That shit is tough.
Yeah, I mean,
at least with stand up, you can improvise a little
improvise.
bit.
I'm not going to tell that joke tonight. I'm going to skip. One of the things I got to be honest with you, I've never done it but I've always been really curious about stand-up comedy and if I could ever get up there and do it. I don't know.
You could get up in there and do it. You might bruise your ego.
Yeah, but because as a writer, I mean, and I write comedy as well as drama. I feel like, well, if I know the line, can I deliver the line? And oftentimes you're helping an actor sort of get into character or deliver. But like my curiosity is what you do. Could I get up there, look those 150, 200, 2,000, whatever it is, people in the face and like make them laugh? Like someday I'm going to do it, but I always said I'm going to do it when I have a crazy successful TV show.
I'm going to take him out to do his first show.
I would do it, but
I'm going to be sitting in the front row eating popcorn like this.
Yeah, but maybe you could, help me out a little bit.
I'm not helping you. You're going out by the...
No, but before I go, you got no hints? Yeah. I don't nothing? Material? You got a joke?
No, as a matter of fact, after this, I'm grabbing you by your wrist. We're walking to the Grizzly Pear and McDougal Street. I'm going to sign you up. I'll cover the $5 fee
and I'm in.
And get you in. You're
I'm
gonna be in front of...
I'm a bringer, I'm not going to bring anybody, so I could do it empty. It's just fascinating to me because I love comedians. I've worked with some great comedians. When I did A Room of My Own, Mario Cantone played my uncle.
He's awesome.
His energy is crazy. And
you're friends with some of my favorites. Mario's is dope. I loved him in Sex and the City.
Oh my God, he's so great. And you love him in our show. He's not in The Wanderer. I want to be clear. He's in a show.
I heard he was good in Sex and the City. I never really watched it, but
well, he's funny. He's just funny, and it's like boundless energy. It's like he could get up there for an hour.
And he's like that with his stand-up.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I love it. So he's somebody who, and of course I also.
Wait, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Yeah. What project was he working with you on?
Oh, Mario worked with us on a show that I did a couple of years ago off Broadway that I wrote called A Room of My Own, and it was about my life growing up in a small apartment in Greenwich Village with my crazy Italian-American family, and he was my Uncle Jackie who lived upstairs, and he would just barge into the open door screaming and yelling about the neighbors, and he was so funny, and it took place in 1979, which I see as an important year for you too. I was just a little kid, but it was great, and we had Ralph Macchio who played the adult me looking back on my life, and that was a real treat because growing up seeing Ralph in The Outsiders and Karate Kid and all that.
Oh man, I wanted to be Ralph Macchio so badly as a kid.
Oh man, well he got to be me, so
that's fucking awesome.
That's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
But Ralph,
he did a great job, man. And I just love to see the resurgence of his career.
Oh, he's great.
Back in full effect.
He's a
Him
good
and
guy.
Johnny.
Yeah. Isn't that great? No, it's great. And
how much did you enjoy the new Karate Kid?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very happy for him because he's a friend, and I want him to do well, and we want our friends to do well. And I'm just glad it happened when it happened, because if it had happened a few years later, he wouldn't have done my play. So I got him when he was available, so that's always nice. And we're developing it for TV now into a series, but it would definitely have that all-in-the-family vibe, because in 1979, nobody pulled punches. Not in my neighborhood, not in your neighborhood. Nobody pulled punches. Your family, I'm sure, said exactly what was on their mind.
Right.
Maybe they said it in Spanish, but they said exactly what was on their mind. And in my family, they said exactly what was on their mind. So when Uncle Jackie comes in and he's cursing about the priests and about the neighbors and about the woman living across the street and about the transvestite who's kept them up all night with his radio. It's fun. It's just fun, and it reminds you of the world the way it was.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. But I don't know. I'm putting my stand-up career on hold. We're gonna see.
Now you guys definitely do. If it's something you're thinking about over and over, I think you owe it to yourself.
Yeah, I expect to fail because you always fail. I mean, the first few times, but I think that it would just be fun, and I'd like sometimes you write something and you know how it should be said, so why not give it a try? Just a try.
Who are some of the stand-ups that stand out to you? Who you enjoy watching?
Modern ones, I could go with modern. Of course, George Carlin, I think, is the greatest of all time, just because he was a philosopher and a writer as much as he was. But I mean, how could you not think Sebastian doesn't have
so much fun? I was just talking to Marshall about Sebastian and how just fucking funny he is.
He's great.
I mean, we're in a day and age too. Yeah. Like, I'm not sure how close you watch stand up and you're up on it.
I do. I love it. My son loves it, so I watch it with him.
But I'm a little bit like, this shit not spoken word. Just be funny. And granted, there's different styles, right? Yeah. You're gonna have guys who are real setup, twist, punchline. Sure. But I never want stand up to feel like people who do it have the gall to be like, yeah, well, I don't want to have to dumb it down. Like, just be funny. It doesn't matter. It's fucking. There's different ways of expressing it, but just be funny. Yeah. It shouldn't be like a spoken word or like, I'm in this side. I'm gonna tell you how it is, and then people agree with you. And you get an applause break, but it's not funny.
Right.
Like, be funny.
I guess I get it. I have a lot of friends who are stand-up. I did a show called The Accidental Pervert, which ran for 8 years off Broadway, and it was Andrew Goffman, who was terrific. He was a stand-up comedian, and he just, you get your ass kicked in stand-up comedy. So, but I like.
You gotta have a high threshold for rejection.
Right, but I like that tight wire. I like the idea of that. Sure. And when we were doing that show, we would change stuff a lot just because we consider it like our little comedy laboratory. And I think that's part of the experimentation. That's part of the expression. So you get up there and you tell a joke that bombed, and was it them or was it me? And then you ultimately have to make that decision that it's you. It's probably you.
And the thing is, man, there's some shit that you might hold closely to you that you really believe in and you like, but for some reason it doesn't transfer over, doesn't go. And I've kept those jokes.
Yeah. Well,
stubborn, and they eventually work.
Yeah.
Well,
you gain more confidence in it. You tell it with more confidence.
That's right.
I think that's
and I never, and I think that's a big part of it. But if you always allow, that feeling of rejection to like take over, then you abandon them, right?
But sort of, it's the same in theater because like you write a play, and you have, maybe there's some jokes in it which you think are slam dunks, and then you do it in preview or in workshop or then in preview. And if it doesn't get a laugh after 2 weeks of previews, I think you have, like a David Mamet will always say, if the line's not working, it's always the line, And sometimes you think as a writer, well, it's the actor, it's the audience that night. They didn't get it. He didn't hit it right. But then after you've given it enough time, I think you have to determine it. Maybe it's the line, maybe it's the punchline, maybe it's maybe it just needs a little tweak, maybe it's the rhythm, maybe it's something.
I mean, it's crazy, and it's the same. That's the same with plays, I guess.
Oh my God!
With stand up, it's so important. One word could fuck up the rhythm of the joke, and it's just too much fat.
It does.
If you repeat the same word in the sentence, like you shouldn't be speaking like that anyway.
That's a big
one.
I mean, God, we could talk about that in detail because the details of that, the specifics of that, absolutely. And then, but energy also counts a lot too, because if you're saying it with that rip fire energy, with that confidence.
And that's one thing that's so fun about Sebastian is this. He's like this energy, and it's contagious.
He's on fire,
and he's animated, and he's like. He shows up. Yeah. Right?
I actually know Sebastian a little bit. We had met and
great performer.
Prior to him really blowing up, we had met and talked a little bit. And he had read A Room of My Own, and I think he liked it, and he blew up. So God bless him, and he's great. But I admired his work, and I actually met him before he blew up, and I had seen him in a Comedy Central special, and I was like, this guy's great. Now, of course, I'm biased because I love the Italian American angle, but I think that his humor is universal and it crosses over, and it did.
Now, he's the man.
Yeah, he's great.
He's so funny.
He's probably Kevin Hart's tremendous also, but there's guys out there that are just doing it and doing it real well.
Yeah, when I see Sebastian, I see someone who loves doing what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And I like the fact that he's a family guy and he talks about that, and when I watch him, it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, and in the end, it's observational humor, right? Like he walks into a Chipotle and sees what we see. Like so many comedians do that. They say, "I walked in. You ever been to Chipotle? You know better than I do," but somehow it doesn't land the same. He hits it.
He was talking about, and I'm going to butcher this, so pardon me, because I'm reading, but he was talking about going, he says, I went to the gym. He said it was a CrossFit gym, and this guy has symmetrical tattoos. His name is Flash. We all know that fucking guy.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
this, you know.
Yeah.
And he says, today we're gonna pick up the tire and go like this. And
Yeah.
I'm like, why do we have to pick up the tire? He said, because every exercise in here is something we need in life. He's like, when am I gonna ever need to squat down and go like this?
Yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna be walking in the forest and come by across a pond and
great.
shovel water in my mouth.
Right.
So fucking
It's so
funny.
great. It's so great. And you know, it's but it's him. But you know, we try to do that with our own work. We try to find that little corner of the world that we own. You know, they call it brand now, whatever they call it, your niche. You know, but you know you have yours, and I hope that I'm having mine. And you know, you just hope that the audience connects with that, because you can't really go out there and just talk about Italian Americans, because then you only have the Italian American audience, and you can't go out there and just talk about Puerto Rican New Yorkers or Puerto Rican Americans, because then you're only appealing to Puerto Rican New Yorkers. And,
You know what I like about your catalog is that you kind of you expand nicely. That you have a nice stretch of different things that you got involved in: plays, movies, and books. Like,
Yeah.
what inspired? Did you just want to try different things, or was it this? Did one thing kind of fall into the next?
Yeah.
Like maybe you started a play and then it inspired the book. Like,
Yeah.
how did that work
Yeah,
out?
some things led one to the next. I think they just you know, studying film and television, because I ultimately studied film and television at NYU, and I thought, yeah, I want to be Martin Scorsese. Like, that's, you know, every Italian American kid, you know, who thinks about getting into the arts, it's Martin Scorsese. You know,
Who's that? No,
yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, I think he's still around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I would have meant that, because
Yeah.
I could just see you like flipping the table and walking out of here.
No, it's cool. Listen, if you don't know him, you don't know him.
No,
But I know you know
absolutely
him.
no.
I know you know him. But you know, he sort of set the template for to believe that a New York City Italian American kid could do that. You know, could have the audacity to tell his life story. So I want to do film and TV. Then after getting out of school, you know, I was in New York. We talk about sticking around New York. Didn't want to go West Coast. Had opportunities. Had very interesting opportunities. Got a writing offer on Baywatch. I would have had to move to Honolulu. You talk about moving to Jersey. I would have to move to Honolulu. But that didn't feel right for me. I needed to stay here, and staying here meant getting into theater. And theater is just very immediate. You know, you like stand-up comedy. You put it up on the stage. You hear your words. The actors say them, and it's just. But it's a longer ride. You know, in some ways, because you learn and hone your craft, and you do it on stage with 2 actors and 4 actors. You know, now we're doing a musical with, you know, a cast of 21 for millions of dollars. So, but I think different stories get told in different ways and in different mediums. So that's the difference for me. So I think that, you know, like I'm working now on a project called Asphalt Gods, which is about street ballers from the 1970s. And I love basketball. You know, I grew up playing basketball.
That's
and all that.
awesome.
So that's, you know, that's still
It's gonna take like
TV series.
New York,
Yeah.
like West Fourth and Uptown,
Rucker.
like
Yeah,
Rucker.
we're trying to hit all the parks. In future seasons, we hope to hit other cities. So, you know, my
That sounds dope.
Yeah, I know, it's a great series, and we actually have Dr. J is one of our executive producers on it. So it's really exciting.
Wow.
It's really fresh. It's really new. You know, we're just out of the gate with it. We're working with our partners to get it developed and done. And my producing partner, Jill Menza, who's also, you know, I want to say her name because she's so special to the project and so special to the...
I love that name, Jill, for a woman.
Jill is great, right? It's
Oh,
power.
Jill?
Jill, what'd you say?
I thought you said Joe.
Well, her husband's Joe, so we'll go with that. That's not the same.
Jill is okay. I
Yeah.
thought it was Joe.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jill.
Yeah. No, sorry, Joe. But, you know, we've been developing it, and it's strong. But the point is that wouldn't be on stage. You know, you're not going to tell a story about basketball, street ballers on stage. Probably not. I know they've done similar things, but
So it lends itself to, obviously, it's a different
it
platform.
lends itself to a different
yeah.
medium, yeah. And but I love the stage. I just do. I mean, I don't love every play that comes along, and I'm not even really a musical theater guy at all. But I just thought the story of Dion, which was so New York, you know, with that great music, would just be perfect, you know, for a stage.
Yeah,
Production.
that sounds
So-
great. It's funny that you say you're not a musical theater guy. I've always attempted to be open to it, and my family's always would be, you got to watch In the Heights. You gotta
Yeah,
watch.
sure.
And I did, and I got
Yeah.
to tell you, I didn't
Yeah.
like it.
You didn't
but
like
it
it,
could have
yeah.
been because
Yeah.
I was grossly hungover.
Yeah. Did you see the movie or the
I went to the play.
Yeah.
The-
Okay.
I
I
went to
was
the
going to say
musical.
the play would be better than the movie, maybe, but
Yeah.
you know.
I don't know what it was. You know what it is? Maybe it's just
Well, when you have Lynn on the show, you're going to tell him that right to his face, right?
He's amazing. But listen, once again, I have to admit, I was grossly hungover. And
Yeah.
this is years ago when
Yeah.
I was drinking
Yeah.
and being a dirtbag. But I remember just like,
Yeah.
I can't mix like that sort of like sequence musical with like the Uptown Dominican experience. Like it ain't like,
No, I understand what you're saying.
it
because
was weird to me.
I know. One of my biggest pet peeves, and it was from when I was a little kid watching things on TV or watching something on stage or whatever, is that something didn't feel real to me. My pet peeve is that something doesn't feel real to me. And I'm not suggesting In the Heights doesn't feel real, but in the medium of musical theater, and we're working hard to make So when you see The Wanderer, if it doesn't seem real, you can come backstage and tell me that didn't seem real. But it's going to seem real because it has to seem real. Because if it doesn't feel real, it's not going to connect with the audience in the way that I would want it to. And that's the problem for me with a lot of musical theater, that it heightens the expression, musical expression. It sort of heightens the experience, but it takes it out of the realm of reality. I know what you mean about that Spanish Harlem area,
and
the
maybe
Heights,
and it could just be that expression for me just didn't,
It doesn't match your experience of the street.
Right.
Because you have a different experience of the street.
Right.
Yeah. So if that took place on 3rd Street, you'd be like, nobody broke into song. Somebody broke a bottle over my head, but nobody broke into song. But, you accept it as a heightened expression. I get that.
Right.
But it's one of the biggest challenges with The Wanderer is that, we're dealing with heroin addiction. We're dealing with gang violence. We're dealing with all kinds of stuff in there. And then to just bust out into song just feels, it feels a little hollow sometimes.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's the musical part for something like that has to do directly with a guy who's a musician.
Well, that's why it works.
Right.
For me. Because
that's what I think. It's like, it's a
he was a singer. Yeah,
exactly.
And he was a street corner singer.
Right.
So
right.
So you can that lives within the within the realm of that
that
world.
feels better.
Feels
with
better.
me, off the bat.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of my pet peeves with musical theater sometimes is that it elevates itself, and it's beautiful. They have great talent, but it doesn't always work.
Did you watch the Rocky Balboa play? There was a musical.
It's a funny thing. We were talking about it just the other day. I knew one of the producers on it.
Did it do? I was curious
it
about
didn't do well.
I didn't see
it didn't do well at all. And I know now they're speaking of our buddy Ralph. They're doing the Karate Kid musical. I just think you have to be careful. The Rocky musical, from what I know,
it was a bomb.
Well. Yeah, it didn't do well. I mean, it's hard. Rocky lives in a different place for most of us.
Right.
Really lives.
It's like trying to reinvent something. It's like word.
And Rocky singing and Adrian singing.
That's a tough one.
It's a tough one. It's a tough turn, and they've done it with a lot of things that just don't work because they kind of. I mean, even Saturday Night Fever. Which should work because of the music. Mm-hmm. It's a little weird, a little weird.
I mean, because they just knocked it out the park with the film.
It's so real. It's so authentic. If you took the music out of Saturday Night Fever, you'd have a great independent movie. You don't even need the music. Of course, the music adds another layer, and it's great. But you don't need it because the story's strong. Is the story strong? Does it stand on its own? Does the joke work? If you say the joke to me or to 500 people, does it still work?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a litmus test, right, for this stuff, and I think you have to trust it. But we'll see. We're trying to do our best to keep it real. Yeah, that's most
sounds
important.
awesome. I'm excited about it.
Thanks,
your first movie was it? The main character was a boxer? Was that?
Oh yeah, wow,
2006.
God, that's going back. Yeah, it was Punch and Pat.
So this is the way the DBS podcast goes. Just scramble it all up, and as we flow.
No, listen, thank you for
that's
even
a conversation
bringing it up.
I was going to say my name and third. What's that? Third person? That would have been dirtbag. Like I was going to say my name in reference to what.
Yeah.
Like I was gonna say, when you're talking to Sergio, that's a dirtbag way to talk to anybody.
Well, it's a little strange,
Conversations with me, that's the way it goes down.
But that's okay.
It's a scrambled bag.
Listen, I appreciate you bringing up stuff that I'd even forgotten about somewhat, but
But that stood out to me. So 2006, a movie, and it's weird to me because that's the year I started stand-up.
Oh, wow.
So split screen action.
Yeah.
I'm a guy, 26 years old. I have a hairline. It feels like suede. I'm wearing my muscle shirt.
Oh, wow.
I got my Sean John jeans, Nike Air Force Ones, and I'm in front of 300 people at Caroline's graduation show. Hi, guys. Have you ever seen a black squirrel in New York? It's a very rare occurrence. And this guy is producing his first movie. Isn't that a beautiful thing about life?
I mean, it can be.
Action.
It can be. They're both excruciating. I can promise you that. I mean, I wrote that film and worked closely with Punch and Pat. He was I want to call him a cruiserweight. He might have been a heavyweight contender, and it was basically about his life trying to break free of certain gang and street elements.
So it's a true story.
Yeah, it's 100% true. Pat plays himself, and it was a small film, but it was actually played in the city, played in like some major cities around the country. I haven't looked back on it. Lord Jamar was in that. He had a nice
Lord
little
Jamar
role.
from Brand Nubian.
Yeah, Brand Nubian. He had a nice role in that. I remember him.
Is there any way I could see that?
Yeah, I'm sure
Where's it
there
available?
is. I don't know. I'll email me. I'll try to get you a copy. I mean, there's footage online of scenes of it.
That's what I found like snippets.
I probably have it. I'm sure there's a DVD of it around, and because it did get distribution, which was nice first time out. But it's hard. It was an independent film that was a lot of work, and
it was one of your first babies.
It was early on, and yeah. It was a great experience. It was fun. It was good. Pat was a good guy. He was a good guy. He was a really sort of industrious guy who went out and helped with the financing and wanted to tell his story. So I totally respect that.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I love boxing, so working on a boxing film is great.
You're a big boxing fan? As
Yeah,
well?
and actually one of the projects that I was working on, you're gonna love this, was with Boom Boom Mancini.
Oh,
he's a good
okay.
friend and a good guy, and he's turned to producing now, and we were working on a project. It's not about his life; he just wants to produce films, and he's one tough guy and was a great fighter, and he's a good producer too, and he's out there, trying to get it done. So I wrote a film for his company not that long ago. I'll leave that for now because we'll see what happens with it. 'Cause he's out there trying to get it done. Everything froze for the last 2 years, so you're trying to figure out what's.
Wow, what happened?
I don't know. I fell asleep. I woke up. People had masks on. It was really odd, man. But
if you're a boxing fan, I think you appreciate this. My
Please.
birthday just passed,
Oh.
and guess what my wife and my daughter got me?
boxing gloves.
Very close, my friend. A frame of Joe Smoking Frazier signature shorts, trunks.
Yeah.
The green one, and it
my
says
God.
smoking on them.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's
she
beautiful.
she won them. She bought it off what do you call those? Not a raffle.
Auction.
Auction.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm curious. I'm
great.
like, how the hell did you get your hands
Well,
on these?
I'm gonna one up you. I don't want to do that to the host. Yeah, I'm gonna one up the host. Sorry, guys, but
I got Smoking Joe Frazier trunks, and it smells like Smoking Joe Frazier after he did 15 rounds with Ali. What do you got?
I got Smoking Joe Frazier because I was working on a film about his life, and I met with him several
I
times.
thought you were gonna pull him right behind you from
No,
the bed.
God, let him rest in peace. But I worked with Joe very closely, and just like this, interviewed him for hours and hours at his apartment in Philly.
Oh, wow.
Marvis was there as well, and we were developing a story about his life. And he was a great guy, and he was really open about things, and he had a very interesting take on Muhammad Ali, which ultimately I don't even want to go into it, but it was a good experience.
Well,
working with Joe.
if you don't mind, what was the take on it? Is
No,
it
the
something-
take was probably not something that's talking out of school to say it, but that he really had.
disdain towards
Yeah, I think
Ali?
that's. I was going to say disdain. I don't want to. I can't put words in a man's mouth, and he's.
No,
he's
I get
gone.
it. Yeah, no,
But I think that he had real issues, and in a particular with this project, he had issues with. Ali being a big part of his story, because when they did the Ali movie, as you remember,
That's consistent,
That's consistent. That's
yeah,
consistent.
with a lot of reports.
Yeah.
Because Ali was very mean to him.
right?
Like
No, he was terrible to him.
He was
yeah.
terrible.
He was terrible to him.
Yeah.
yeah. But I don't know. I think you can tell the Ali story with Frazier being less of it. It's hard to tell the Frazier story with Ali being
Absolutely.
that. And that was the point that we were trying to make to him. But he was great. He understood it. I really enjoyed talking to him. It was an honor, and he was a good guy. But like anytime you start talking about Ali,
He would see red rats.
He was red rats. But he was. I love that. That's a good expression. But he was. I use that expression all the time. So he was. Into it, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, the butterfly, blah blah blah," and he'd start talking, and then he would just get like really pissed, and like, and it was like, "Okay, this is not going to be easy." And then the producers were like,
great. And he's entitled to feel it, but we all have that shit in our life.
Of course.
Some of them are different, right?
Yeah.
But we got to move the fuck on. You can't hold that too close.
I mean, yeah,
Because
he was still Joe Frazier. He still had a
he's
great
still
career.
Joe Frazier.
Yeah.
When I think of Joe Frazier, I don't always think of Muhammad Ali. I think of Joe Frazier and his cross block. I think of his jumping
my
hook.
gosh.
Joe Frazier, if you can hear me, you're way more than the being in the ring with Ali.
Oh,
I
yeah.
promise you that.
Yeah, and his
people
story
know
would
that.
have been. His story would have been. I mean, this kid from South Carolina who got himself out of that horrible. I mean, he used to punch rice bags, in the field there. I mean, this was like a really great American.
Mm-hmm.
Really, the as Stallone has said, it was the basis for Rocky. And people think of Rocky as an Italian American, but he's actually based on an African American character, which was Frazier, who was a Philly kid who was.
Right, he did say that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because I remember hearing that.
Yeah, no, it's real interesting. But that was a good experience. But I don't know say if I one up you because I wouldn't mind having the shorts
Yeah.
either. But it was great to meet him.
So I was so excited about the shorts.
Yeah.
I broke the glass. I wore them all
Yeah.
day in the apartment.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm going to teach boxing classes with those shorts on at Tompkins Square Park under an oak tree.
That's it. I had
Sweat so
recordings-
much that the signature is gone.
I had recordings of the interviews somewhere, but like formats changed. So like now I think it's like on a
Oh, it's such a
mini,
pain in the ass,
like,
right? It's like
I
a
don't think
mini
I
DAT
can
tape or
listen to it.
something.
It's like I'd have to figure out like how to transfer it over or something. But no, it was a good experience. There's a lot of interesting people you meet, and some projects don't go, and some do, and there's no telling what will go and what won't go. It's like over the pandemic, we started our own, web series, which I never thought about doing a web series, but just had this idea, and it was the Honeyzoomers, which was based on the Honeymooners, which of course is like a great New York show, even though it's from the 1950s, but one of the first shows to really show poor people and working class Americans, working class New Yorkers. So I'm a big fan of the Honeymooners. It's my favorite show.
Man, that show was
time.
fun.
It's still funny. I mean, you put on the Honeymooners, you piss yourself.
What was the main character's name?
Ralph Cramden.
Ralph Cramden. Alice.
Of course.
I mean, he was like 2 seconds away from popping her head off.
Yeah.
Would that go
with
over now?
love, with love,
With
Sergio.
love, of course.
You know.
No, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
in this day and age.
Oh yeah, you can't
can
get away with a
imagine?
lot of stuff now. But it's such a great show and so
Awesome
funny.
show.
And live studio audience, so you talk about that. And then we did the Honeyzoomers, which I don't know if you've watched any of it, but it's been great. We did 39 episodes, just like the Honeymooners. And Jolie Tribuzio, tremendous actress, she did the editing on it. And Johnny Tamaro, who I love, both of them are in The Wanderer. They played Dion's parents. They played my parents in A Room of My Own. So keeping it in the family sort of.
dope.
But the Honeyzoomers was like one of those things where you have to kind of go out and do it yourself. Like, maybe you'd be waiting around forever for somebody to give you the money to do the Honeyzoomers. And we did it, and they couldn't be in the same location. So he would shoot all of his, and she would shoot all of hers, and we edited together. And when you watch the Honeyzoomers, if you haven't watched the Honeyzoomers, watch the Honeyzoomers and tell me if you don't think those two people are in the same room with each other. And of course, we had guest stars come in too, but they shot it from their houses. It was just a really great experience, and we stayed creative. We didn't lose our art and lose our edge during the pandemic.
That says something a lot about your character. During that time when you could have easily folded, this is time off. I gotta, that's an attest to your creativity and not being shut down.
Well,
how
you
you
too.
like figured it out.
Oh
yeah,
come on.
I mean,
God bless,
you got to keep it moving.
Yeah.
It was a special time in that sense.
It was
that everyone was on pause and you could create.
You could create if you could find a way to do it.
Yeah.
If you could find a way to do it.
And
And we
was,
did, and we got such great attention. And if you watch the show, and people who are watching this probably, if they watch The Honeymooners, they know Trixie. She played Norton's wife who lived upstairs. And I spoke to her. She's 96 years old. We have the same birthday. And I spoke to her on the phone, and there was a wonderful article about it. She gave her blessing to the show. She's the only living honeymooner left.
Wow.
And so, man, I would have never had that experience if it wasn't for the pandemic. And I'm not thanking the pandemic for anything. I'm just saying, like, the resourcefulness, that restlessness, if you can turn it into resourcefulness, and like that go to it spirit. Go do it, man.
For
go
sure.
do it yourself.
For
you
sure.
know? I think you have to. Even when you're working on the highest level, you got to do it yourself because, you have to initiate that work. You have to get it on the page, get it on the stage,
For sure. That's super inspiring, man. I can't wait to check that out.
You're going to love it. You're going crazy because it's real New York. It's real funny. We threw a laugh track over it, so it would be like
And you were able to pump out a nice amount of episodes.
39 and some lost episodes too, plus some PSAs. Yeah, we were working, but we were turning it out every week. Dude, we were doing an episode a week. We were on the same schedule as the original Honeymooners. But I said, we got to do 39. Everybody knows the Honeymooners did 39 episodes, the classic 39. So we did 39. So it was really exciting. And we got a lot of good attention for it too, which was nice. We didn't do it for attention, but we happened to get some good attention for it. Which, if you're going to lay dormant for 15, 16, 17 months, I couldn't have done that. That can't happen. They pulled the plug on The Wanderer just because of the, since they pulled the plug, but put it on hold because of the pandemic.
But it was nice because The Wanderer, which comes out in March, was pretty much completed. It's just the release.
Yeah, but we were a week away from having the set built.
Oh.
Can you imagine that? That's really, and then, you don't want to lose actors to other jobs, and you want to.
So how's the rebuilding process been on that end? But do you have a lot of, is the integrity of what you originally started with still intact, or obviously the it's going down, but is everything the same, or would some of the actors change and
a couple of actors
make
changed.
adjustments and stuff like that?
Yeah, a couple of actors changed. None of the show hasn't changed, but some of the actors have, just by virtue of either having moved away or gotten another job or getting a job on the road. But our principals are all pretty much the same.
That's awesome.
And our leads
you're
are the
happy
same.
with.
Oh, really?
Super
So
excited
happy, so excited about it, and listen, coming out of the pandemic, it's something to be really excited about, and people are excited. Our tickets went on sale last week and selling great, and obviously we want to bring it into Broadway after that. That's always been the intention. So we root for Broadway, we root for regional, we root for everybody who's out there doing it because everything impacts everything.
Yeah.
It does. Everything is everything. And we said everything's going on at the same time. Everything's going on at the same time. It really is. Things that you didn't think were affecting you are affecting you now. But yeah, no, we're excited.
Where'd you get that spiritual side of you? That's some spiritual talk
St.
that
Anthony's,
I like.
St. Anthony's Church on McDougal Street. St. Anthony's School. Where'd you go?
I went to junior high school 56 and Seward Park.
You went to Seward? Oh,
Yeah.
I went to Xavier.
Yes, I read that.
Yeah. Which I'm.
So you had the uniform on.
Yeah, it was still partially military back then. So for the first
Xavier was tough that way. I had a friend who went to Xavier.
Yeah, Xavier was great.
All boys school, right?
I thought maybe we gone to LaSalle because you were right over there.
No.
Or St. George.
So I was strictly public schools.
Yeah.
And it was a decent experience. A lot of my energy was put into other bullshit because it was, but it was a good experience.
Sure.
But I'm not opposed. Like, if my daughter was interested in going to a private school, a Catholic school, I like the idea of uniform because it just strips it.
Yeah.
Like, it's less to worry about.
Yeah. I think there is
I felt
something
like,
to be
you know,
said.
when I was going to school, it was like a fucking fashion show. Like, so much attention was
yeah,
putting on
no.
shoes and the Carcanine jeans
Yeah.
and cross colors. you
Yeah,
know?
no, that's a whole different thing. And when I
But it
was,
is a form of expression too. So,
yeah.
like,
Well, I think also when you go to a Catholic school and you have that sort of imposed discipline, you sort of learn to rebel in whatever way you learn to rebel. So whether it's a different pair of socks or, you know, an earring. I remember getting an earring on a Friday, and I knew I had to take it out by Monday.
yeah, you're
but I
looking
wouldn't
at
get
your
my
teacher,
earpiece-
you're just kind of making a
Yeah, put a
sure that she
Band-Aid
just sees
over it. or some
the
stupid
right
thing.
side.
Yeah, and then I took it. I had to take it out because otherwise I would have gotten detention every day for a year. So I took it out, and then I had to.
Did you ever get your ass whipped by one of those teachers? I heard they hit.
You know, we had priests. I mean, they were really tough. I was a good kid. Yeah, I didn't want to get my ass kicked.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't want any problems. But I was a pretty good kid. I mean, we're all good kids because nobody really stepped out of line. You know, or they just threw you out of the school, and that was the end.
None of those kids were naughty and getting their ass whooped.
Yeah, I mean, they would. I mean, I think that it had been, by the time I had gotten there, it had been reduced to threats, verbal threats, more than corporal punishment, you know?
Right.
But, yeah, I can't say that I mind.
Do you
having
keep in
gone-
contact with any of your teachers or anything like that?
Teachers, not well. Yeah, actually, there's one teacher that I do keep in contact with now, and his wife who still teaches there. And then I still play ball with some of my old friends from Xavier. You know, one of my Colombian friend, my buddy Hugo. If he's watching it, shout out Hugo.
Yo, I love my Colombian people. My wife is Colombian.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Would you,
he's
have
great.
you ever visited?
No, but he wants to take me so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he loves it. I mean, he has like a little finca down there, you know.
A little what?
Finca, right? What do they call it? A finca?
I don't know Spanish. You probably know more than I do.
Well, he
with
calls it a finca. He's
A
like, oh, you got to
finca.
come to the finca. Yeah, it's like his summer house. He calls it a finca. That's
sounds
how he says it. I
adorable.
don't speak Spanish, but that's how he says
Yeah.
it. So I'm just doing it phonetically.
You're
you know?
confident with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to we'll have to look that up. You're probably right.
Yeah, and he loves
My
it down there.
non-Spanish speaking ass can attest
Spanish?
to. I know.
I don't speak Italian either. And I took 4 years at Xavier.
We need to get our shit together.
I wanna do
That's
a
why we
play.
throw ourselves in creative shit.
I want to
so
do a play all in Italian.
That'd be dope. I never want to do stand-up all in Spanish.
Well, unless you were in Puerto Rico or something, maybe. Yeah. Yeah,
Charles, man, thank you so much,
is
man.
great.
The Wanderer
Yeah.
musical comes out in March. What was the name of the
Paper Mill Playhouse.
Paper Mill Playhouse. That's
Yeah.
gonna be awesome, man.
Papermill.org for tickets. Come see it, man. It's a great New York show.
Charles Messina, man. Thank you so much.
Pleasure,
And
man.
Marshall, the producer of this amazing show and this beautiful establishment here at Sound Lounge. I want to thank you for connecting us, man.
Yeah, thanks, Marshall. Appreciate that.
Charles, thank you so much. That is our episode. We're bold out here. You saw we gave each other a handshake, no knuckles. Vaccinated, ready to give handshakes. By the way, I need you guys to subscribe, comment, and share. Share it. Don't be greedy. Share it. This is another episode of DBS Podcast, aka The Chacon Show. I appreciate you guys. We out of here. Peace.